Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Welcome, everybody. If we haven't met before, my name is Kaylin. This is my beautiful husband, Anthony.
Hi.
That's our cat, Hermione, in the back cleaning herself. And every Sunday at 6 p.m., try to set aside some time for us to gather together and to do some meditation and some spiritual work. And this week, our theme is set by my glorious husband, Mr. Anthony Gutierrez. And we're talking about the idea of allowing yourself to feel. And so, Anthony, do you want to just kind of kick us off about why you chose this as a topic for tonight?
Sure. So my background is as a mental health therapist. And I think we as a society ascribe certain feelings as good and bad, and certain things that we're supposed to feel and other things that we're not, like anger or sadness. That if we say we're feeling sad or we're not feeling great, people often rush in to try to make us feel happy or to make us feel kind of what we've described as positive emotions. And really, by not validating those other emotions, we suppress them. And so I think it's just important, especially during the holidays and during these seasons where all kinds of emotions start coming up, not to really ascribe whether they're good or bad, but to really just notice them and kind of, feel okay sitting in them. I think where it becomes difficult is when we get stuck in emotions, in any emotion. And so I just wanted us to kind of honor the fact that we are humans who have the right, and it's healthy to experience every emotion that comes up and to sit with it. And I think that's really great about meditation, is to be able to sit in those emotions and kind of learn from what's coming up from them and what can we kind of process and grow as a result of those emotional cues.
Totally. And as he dives into kind of the more psychological perspective, I'm also going to talk today about the more yogic perspective around the idea of what's called detachment or separation, which means that you allow your emotional experience to happen, you become very fully aware of it, and at the same time you also learn to recognize that I am not my feelings, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. These things are real and they're happening, but there is a state of peace and joy and contentment and love that is always existing within us. And even if you're in the throes of weeping or the throes of anger, it is still possible to access that state and realize that it is not your totality. So that idea of if something's true, so is its opposite, something I talk a lot about on this channel, that yes, we allow our feelings to be there, we acknowledge them, we let them be real, and at the same time we also recognize that that's not everything that we are. So I love to explore this idea of how do we work with allowing our feelings to be there. So thank you for joining us today. Please find a comfortable way of sitting, lying down. You can sit on the floor, you can sit in a chair, you could take a nap like my cat is now doing, and turn your focus within. So with any of our meditations, usually start with just simple observation. How are you feeling? How are you doing? What's going on with you today? What do you feel when you observe the breath, observe your body, observe your mind? Try to approach your self-observation without judgment, without critique. And allow yourself to be with whatever is. And I think that's going to be probably our biggest theme for today, is allow yourself to be with whatever is, without judgment, without needing to change it, without needing to fix it. Allow yourself to be with what is. And I'm going to repeat something that we've already said and we'll come back to again and again tonight, which is, there is nothing good nor bad. It is merely perspective. Something good to one person is bad to another. Something holy to one person is sinful to another. Something joyful is something tragic. It just all depends on your perspective. So let go of these qualifiers and just simply observe where you are. Notice how you are. If you can, even say thank you for where you are. It's one of the things that I've come to learn on my spiritual journey is, even if I'm dealing with something really uncomfortable, at the end of the day, I'm still having the privilege of having a human life. It is still a gift to to be able to feel, to be able to be in these bodies, to be having these experiences. So can you find a little gratitude for wherever you are? Because I promise no matter where you are, there is something to be grateful for. And I invite you today, as you turn your focus within, to start to hone in on your emotions. What are you feeling right now? What is your experience? And be aware that it's usually never just one answer. You know, there's usually a surface level feeling, a deeper feeling below that. Sometimes those feelings are in conflict. You know, it's not uncommon to be having a really joyful experience and a really painful experience at the same time. Those things can definitely coexist. And feel your breath going deeper in your body. And ask yourself silently, how do I feel? What's going on for me? And see if you can achieve a state of detached observation. Not that you're not engaged with it, but almost like a bystander watching something go by. Can you watch and say, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? You're not suppressing, you're not trying to detach from it in the sense of, I don't feel it. We're just trying to take one step outside of it to observe it. And if you turn your focus within and you say, I don't know how I'm feeling, that's okay too. That can happen a lot. What is your experience when you turn within today?
I think something that really resonated was just the layers of emotions, right? I think I've been traveling a lot for work and coming home and sort of settling into home again and feeling gratitude, but also tired and somewhat sad, somewhat excited, and somewhat fearful as transition is starting to take place, and acknowledging that. And so really trying to kind of, as you said, kind of identify those feelings as they sort of swirl. And in a sense almost to sort of grab them and hold them for a minute and bring them down. So I think there's, and then with all of that, a desire to want to slow down. I think that's another thing. Is and we've been talking about, me feeling really kind of just tired and heavy. And I think part of that is my body trying to process a lot of the feelings that are coming up. And honoring that and trying to just sort of slow things down and sit with those feelings.
I think it's really hard to be aware of what's going on if life is going too fast. I can remember I had a mentor that used to say with pride, I'm too busy to know if I'm happy.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, that's one reason why we stay busy. You know, if an emotion comes up, it's easier to be distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm busy, I don't have to feel.
I mean, I use busyness as a coping mechanism for most of my teenage years and young adult life. It's just if I just stay busy, if I just stay productive, if I just keep working, then I don't need to deal with what's going on inside.
Yeah, and sometimes that is a coping mechanism, right? I know a lot of times we'll say someone's going through big transition like divorce or a death occurs, and it's just too overwhelming. Some people will say, well, just keep yourself busy,
Yeah.
right? So that you don't have to think about it, or you can think about it in small bits, right? As opposed to the flood of feelings that come over. But I think to notice that busy is a way of distraction of feeling. And sometimes that's okay, right? I think sometimes it could be too overwhelming to feel it all. And so we titrate that feeling, but also recognize that's what we're doing, is we're distracting ourselves from those feelings.
So hopefully as we've been talking, your focus has still been on your breath and trying to maintain a meditative state within, but if it dropped, that's okay, come back to it. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, as you become more aware of what's going on in your internal life, I want you to use your breath as a tool. So the breath is more than just simple oxygen coming in, carbon dioxide coming out, and exchange of gases. Our breath is a conscious living energy called prana in the yogic tradition, where it travels with the breath. And so where our breath goes and our focus goes, so too goes our life force. So when you breathe in, bring your focus to the center of your chest, which is often where we experience emotions a lot of times. Sometimes our belly too, sometimes our loins, sometimes down in our sacral area. But bring your focus to your chest, and whatever comes up for you, I'm going to breathe into that space and see if the prana, the breath, can start to get that to expand and open. And if it's a positive emotion, expand it and open it and let it bloom. If it's a more challenging emotion, can the breath start to spread it out and allow it to be less intense, less contracted? And one of the useful tools our meditation practice can give us is that once you get really good at focusing on the heart and you go deeper and deeper within, eventually you can reach this reservoir of pure love, pure joy, pure radiance, pure acceptance. And it's like this ever-present light within, that no matter what's happening externally, no matter how challenging of a situation you're in, there is always this light. The yogis use the term Sat Chidananda. Sat Chidananda means truth, consciousness, and bliss. At our core, we are all true, blissful, observant beings. That's who you really are, under all the emotions, under all the mental happenings, under all the physical stuff. You are bliss. And so maybe you're able to access that today, maybe not. Maybe it's something that you're working towards, and that's okay. But even in your darkest hour, it is possible to connect with that state. No, I know sometimes we have emotions that are so big and so heavy that it almost feels impossible to get past it, almost impossible to reach to the other side of it. Like, one of the things we talk about a lot is what would happen if something unfortunate occurred to the other one of us. If, I was in a car wreck or my husband fell off a cliff. Him and all of his rock climbing that he does.
Right.
How would I be able to survive that? How would he be able to survive that? And there are times where I think I couldn't. That grief would kill me. And so there are these big emotions that feel completely beyond the scope of our ability to encompass. And And I think it's important to acknowledge that if that's something you're experiencing today, if your emotions feel really overpowering and you cannot feel the other side, you cannot breathe around it, feel it expand or dissolve or move it, or feel what lies on the other side of the emotion, or access your center of joy, that's okay too. You know, wherever you are, and I think this is the biggest thing that we're going to touch on tonight, is wherever you are is okay. Whatever you are feeling is okay. I know that was kind of your impetus for this, is that idea that we're told we have to be a certain way, we have to feel certain things, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, something that came up for me when we were talking about kind of finding that inner bliss. And I recently asked my husband to give me a gift that I could wear as a symbol of our relationship, and because I've been traveling a lot, I wanted something that could ground me in that. And I'm someone who's really tactile, and basically what it was like a totem. What was that movie, Inception?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they go into a dream and they ask, that you have this totem that brings you out of the dream, right?
Something to ground you into
Something
your reality.
And I think that's something that for me works really well, is where's this totem that you have. And I think we also do this with sacred objects, right? And that we meditate on sacred objects. So that was just coming up with, is there something that sometimes when I feel that I need grounding or a reminder of the bliss that I go to? Because sometimes it's hard for us to get into the center. But if we touch something that has that kind of energetic pull, that works. And I know we do that with malas sometimes too. How we
Meditation
pray.
beads.
Yeah, is that it brings us back to that. It allows us to ground so that we can then look at the emotion from a more observer.
Yeah, and I think what you're alluding to is that fact that objects and spaces hold energy and have energy to them, and how we can use it to our advantage. And one of the things you've reminded me of is like two of my very, very favorite places to go. One is to sacred spaces, temples, churches, mosques, especially if a lot of people have worshipped and prayed and connected there. There's just been numerous times where I've gone to a temple or a church and it's felt like a portal to another world, but that space holds that energy. But one of the other places that really holds transformative energy for me is large bodies of water, rivers, oceans, lakes, tributaries. And I know for myself, there's been points in my life, especially when dealing with heartbreak, where I've loved someone and they've left me, where my emotions have felt completely uncontrollable, that it's just far beyond my ability to cope with them. They just fully overwhelm me. And what I would often do is I would go to the body of water. Like, at that point in my life, I was living in Chicago, so I'd go to Lake Michigan, and I'd sit at the water, and I'd ask the water to wash through me, even if I wasn't physically in it. I'd ask the water to come wash through me, to flow through me, and to allow these emotions to flow through so I didn't have to hold them all myself. But I asked the energy of the space, and the energy of water is movement, cleansing, purifying, dissolution, right? Water is the ultimate dissolver. And just ask for it to come and to move these through me, because it's beyond my capacity to hold. And it made a huge difference for me in my ability to cope. Especially when my first boyfriend, I had two guys who really broke my heart hard. And I would just go to the water and pray. And I would go to the water and ask for it to help. I'd ask the spirits of the water to come and help me.
I used to do that with the moon. The moon was a big one for me that I would connect with. Yeah, similar. I didn't live by a body of water. I lived in Texas growing up. But yeah, the moon was my kind of cleansing force.
Which, interestingly enough, your little totem necklace now has a pearl on it too, which represents the moon.
Yeah.
So notice, how are you feeling? You've just been spending roughly 20 minutes with us, focusing on your breath, focusing on what's going on inside of you, exploring these idea of flow, expansion, movement, separation, acceptance, allowing things to be as they are. Do you notice any sort of shifting or deepening or opening within you through these practices that we're discussing and through our conversation? And to remember also that the work that we're doing today isn't just verbal. It's not just about what we say to you, it's also about the energy that we share. You know, we gather together in this sacred space, right? You know, we're virtual, right? So you're not physically in the room with us, but time and space are an illusion. So you are here with us. We are all sharing energy. Even if you're watching this video 2 years later, we're still sharing energy. And so that energy that each of us on our own have cultivated to create more space, to create more peace, to create more flow, you're also able to use in your journey of growth and healing and transformation. So how does it feel to share this space with us? How does it feel to be on this journey? Take a deep breath in your heart. And then let yourself be filled with the breath. And take another deep breath in. And no matter what you were feeling, no matter what you were experiencing, know that you are well. Know that you have always been well, and you will always be well no matter what is happening. Take a deep breath into your heart and feel your whole self expand. Realize that you are so much more than this time, this space, this body, this mind. You are something vast and eternal, something that is never fully knowable because you are a small aspect of the divine that created this world, that created all worlds. Breathe into your heart and know your truth. Know that you are love incarnate, that you are God incarnate, that you are vaster than you could ever imagine. And that you are not bound by the physical limits of this body. You have always been, you will always be. You are God, and so is everyone else. And then take that breath deeper inside of you. Breathe past the limits of your lungs, breathe into your navel, breathe into your butt, breathe into the space around you. Feel the space that we share. And feel how you are not alone on this journey. That you are walking side by side with us, with each other, with all of us. And offer up from your heart a little bit of gratitude. Gratitude for this precious human life you've been given. Gratitude for sun-filled days, for moonlit nights, for water, for fire, for air, for earth, for your health, for your well-being, for your family and friends, for food and drink. Gratitude for time and space to live, for freedom. gratitude for everything you've been given, for each of us have been so blessed. The sound of Om is the sound of our universe. Every level of consciousness, every realm, every universe has its own vibration, and Om is the sound of ours. And if you get quiet enough and still enough, you can hear it vibrating from every corner, every being, every aspect. Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy lives to come and join us tonight. We really appreciate having the opportunity to share this space with you. We were taking a walk in the forest earlier today, and we were commenting on how grateful we are for this community and for all of you. One of our long-held goals is the idea of creating sacred space together to share with all of you. This idea of, one day, hopefully in the not too distant future, creating a physical space like a retreat center or a bed and breakfast of some kind where people could come and stay however long they wanted and do some spiritual work together. And so know that that is our intention, and that is our intention and something that we're working towards. And hopefully when that does occur, it's something you'd like to partake in and come and spend some time with us by the fire or by the water and sit and enjoy and be. So if that's something that inspires you, please help us in holding that intention of creating that space for others to come and do their work together. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's always such a pleasure to have you in town to come and meditate with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Isn't he wonderful? I love having him here. Thank you guys. If you ever have any questions, comments, requests, please do not hesitate to reach out and let me know. I'm always available. I try to respond to everybody if I can via DM or emails. If you ever want to work with me one-on-one, that's always an option too. You can also support me through Patreon. And you can find me on all the other social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, OnlyFans, all that good stuff. And thank you so much. Your time is so precious. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year. Next Sunday, there will be a 6 p.m. meditation class, but it will be pre-recorded. I'll do it as like a YouTube premiere. And we're going to be traveling that day, so I do not know if I'll be able to access internet or whatever. I've seen before how my best intentions of like trying to do meditation classes at an airport don't turn out too well. But there will be class next Sunday, and I've already queued up some edited videos for the next 2 weeks while we're traveling for the holidays. And wherever your holiday season is taking you, I hope you're safe, I hope you're filled and surrounded with love, and I hope it's well. I'm going to try on Solstice Eve to lead a live meditation class. I will be with my family, so it's a little dependent on their craziness, what's possible. But I would love to join you for that very, very sacred day. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, thank you, and be present to your emotions and take care of yourself emotionally.
Yeah, as best we can, especially when we're around family.
Absolutely.
All right, gang, thank you so much for all your love and support. I hope you have a great night, and see you soon.